Tonight on News 5 Live, the 2023 Belize Investment Summit gets underway in San Pedro. The United Democratic Party is unable to muster the support of Belize Rural South. Prime Minister John Briceño breaks his silence on the Andre Perez sex scandal. And in tonight's episode of Belize on Real, the Belize Chocolate Company goes big on La Isla Bonita. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Prepárate para el verano más caluroso de la historia con DJ's Sizzling Summer Raffle. Este verano, DJ está regalando $35,000 en premios. Obtenga la oportunidad de ganar DJ Cash y premios increíbles todos los días. Y eso no es todo. No hay uno, sino dos grandes premios. Clientes prepagos por cada $5 en uso principal obtiene una entrada en nuestra rifa diaria. Además, obtenga entradas para sorteos semanales y grandes premios comprando dispositivos promocionales, registrándose en DigiOne Bundle, DigiTV y más. Entonces, no pierdas la oportunidad de ganar a lo grande. Únase a DJ's Sizzling Summer Raffle. Visite www.livedigi.com/Sizzling Summer para obtener más información sobre cómo participar. Digi, nuestra telecomunicación nacional.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
The Belize Carnival Association presents the annual King and Queen competition. Come out and cheer for your favorite carnival band as they display their elaborate and decorative giant costumes for the 2023 carnival season. Mark the date, September 2nd, 2023 at the Belize Civic Center. Prejudging at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. for showtime. Come out and see who will take the title of King and Queen, Junior and Senior.
How does investment services work? For example, Joe's Construction wants to expand its operations by purchasing new equipment and hiring additional staff. How can Joe's Construction get an investment loan? The answer: Investment Services appraises the loan application and focuses on two key areas: adequate collateral and repayability. Investment Services will also consider how Belizeans and the economy will benefit from this new investment through job creation and business growth. The terms and conditions for Joe's Construction loan will be based on the purpose and cash flow. After recommendation and approval, the loan is disbursed. SSB remains committed to proper management of the fund through prudent and responsible investments for the benefit of its beneficiaries, employers, and the Belizean economy. Social Security Board, an investment for you, your family, your future.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, August 31st. I am Sabrina Daly. The 2023 Belize Investment Summit is attracting potential investors from all over. The gathering was officially opened this morning at the Grand Caribe on Ambergris Key. Some 500 individuals have registered for the two-day event, which will include in-depth conversations on the blue, green, and orange economies. Key components of the summit are conservation and sustainable development. As a result, the former president of Colombia, Iván Duque Marquez, was invited as the guest speaker at the opening ceremony. Duque leads numerous global conservation initiatives. He is also a champion of the orange economy. But at the heart of the summit are the local businesses that continue to invest in growing their companies and are now looking for partners and investors to expand their operations and, in many cases, enter the export market. News 5's Paul Lopez has been in San Pedro for the past 2 days and files the following report.
The summit got underway this morning on Ambergris Key. Local businesses and investors, as well as investors from across the world, are all gathered at the Grand Caribe for the two-day event.
We're very pleased with the amount of interest that people have had, not to, certainly in Belize, but also all over the world in the Caribbean, in Central America, South America. We even have, as you said, from South Korea, that they have coming to Belize. They have been hearing there's been this buzz about Belize, that things are happening in Belize, and that there's so many business opportunities in Belize. So the the investment forum gives an opportunity to put investors together with both locals and foreigners to be able to see how they can get their project going. It also gives an opportunity for the government to be able to present the work that we have done over the past 2.5 years, and also the policies that we're putting in, that we have in plan, to be able to make investments easier in Belize and to bring across that Belize is open for business.
In a paradise that combines not only the magnificent landscapes.
The guest speaker at today's opening ceremony was Iván Duque Marquez, the former president of Colombia. Duque spoke exclusively with News 5 during his visit.
One of the nicest things about Belize is that when you look at the whole Latin American and Caribbean region,
you have an employment rate that is something close to 2.8%, which is almost full employment. That's a big achievement. But also imagine if you continue generating new opportunities and you allow the human capital through talent to be employed where the talent is, and that has to do with music, with the arts, with functional creations. What you're going to be able to do is the same thing that you're doing now with call centers, where a young person gets employed and they can win by the or earn by the hour, maybe 2 or 3 times the minimum wage in an hourly basis. The same thing can happen in the orange economy, but even higher. Even they can earn more than what they could do in a call center if they're employing their talent and their human capital in a sector in which they can contribute more. That simply generates more dynamic. And I think those are the bets that the countries need to make.
The investment summit has been designed to privately connect these businesses with potential investors. Opportunities have also been made available for business owners to dialogue with government officials on issues relevant to their sectors.
The company has been existing 1 year now, and producing is 8 months. We have different products. We have liquid detergent as well as Isabella. We have Promax. We have Best Choice. And the company is located in San Ignacio, Alpha Centauri Street. Yeah.
Are you guys doing any sort of exporting as yet?
At this moment, not. But we're looking forward for exporting. Actually, our products are very high standards, very good quality. You can see our labels and our quality is very good. So we have the potential to export.
We met a lot of people in different areas. In terms of wine time, grow its own grape. So agriculturally, we meet with people that do agriculture, different natural stuff that we can use. We also met with the Prime Minister. We met with other government official. So maybe wine time could acquire some land and eventually have a vineyard. So we're networking, we're working, because the main thing we need is opportunities. We're not asking for handout, but we're asking for cooperation and working with people, especially the government.
There are still big opportunity for a lot of investors. The industry has been growing really fast in Belize, especially during and after COVID. Definitely Belize now is recognized as a destination for BPOs. We have about 30 BPOs already registered in Belize countrywide. However, there is still space, of course, for additional investors. And of course, the population of Belize is a really good benefit for any investor coming due to the English of Belize. That is, I will say, the main attraction of having a BPO operation here in the country.
The Chief Investment Officer in the Office of the President of Guyana, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, is present at this year's summit. He has taken keen interest in the growth of the BPO sector in Belize. Dr. Ramsarup says he wants to champion a partnership in this sector between both nations.
I mentioned to the Prime Minister yesterday, he is in his speech today talked about the business processing outsourcing, the BPO market. And Guyana is fledgling in that market. We don't have as much seats as Belize may have. But imagine a client in the United States coming and saying they need 5,000 seats tomorrow. Belize can produce 3,000. Guyana can produce 2,000. We combine that product. We twin that product. The client just wants to make sure their service is provided to the United States. So by twinning the product, none of us loses. We're not even competing.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
A lot of attention is being placed on the orange economy at this year's investment summit. The orange economy is also known as the creative sector, and it includes music production, movie production, culture and heritage, among other opportunities. Now, there was not so much to show at this summit from Belize's orange economy. It is, in fact, one of the most underdeveloped sectors in Belize. So we asked Prime Minister John Briceño about that and what his government is doing to invest more in arts and culture. Here's what he told us.
There's so much great opportunities and great potential in the blue economy, the orange economy. I think that the presentation that President Ivan Duques Marquez gave was an eye-opener for everyone to see that the great opportunities that exist in the orange economy. What we have been unable to do is to harness that creativity, especially of our young people in the arts, in music, the raw talent that exists. Now we need to find a way how we can harness that and make it become into a big industry that can create opportunities, can create jobs, can create money for these people, all of these young people, especially these DJs that are out there trying to hustle to make ends meet. So what he was saying, and he made the point that it also requires the government to basically to set place the institutions, to give the opportunities, the legislation, that we can encourage them to be able to participate, and at the same time to be able to attract foreigners to come and invest. For instance, when it comes to movie making, we have everything that you could imagine, from the jungle, to the culture, to the food, to the reef, to the water, everything that movie making, the movie industry would want. But they don't know about us. And secondly, we make it difficult for them to come. I was talking to Minister Koi last night. He said, we have a group right here filming. I think they're doing a series or a movie. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. But they have had endless challenges. For instance, they said labor is giving them trouble because they are going to be here for more than 30 days. Immigration is giving them a set of problems because they're going to be filming more than 30 days.
As the discussion surrounding the blue, green, and orange economies takes center stage at the Belize Investment Summit, there is one sector that is not given much attention. That is the gray economy. This is the informal economy, or the sector that is not taxed and often proves to be the most challenging to monitor. One reporter asked PM Briceño how his government is working to arrest this sector.
Speaking of the blue, green, and orange economy, though, what about the gray economy, which includes narco money and contraband money? That's drivers of the economy. Those money that comes in, they are major drivers.
It's illegal, and we're trying to do everything to stamp them out. If you look at all the legislation that we're doing to make it more difficult for them to be able to move their money, that speaks volumes. Right now, we're working even with the U.S. government to help us to strengthen our work in trying to keep the narcos I want to use better instead. I think organized crime is a better word than the narcos, because we have no evidence. The organized crime from Mexico, from across the border to come into Belize, that speaks to what we are accomplishing. We want to get rid of them. I always say what bothers me or what worries me most is to these people get into Belize and they and have roots in Belize. It will be very, very difficult to get them out. So we need to do everything possible to get them out, and I plead to all Belizeans, do not get into any kind of relationship with these people.
Coming up, UDP protests in San Pedro and Belize Rural South draws distance. We'll have more details when we come back.
Looking for a great way to explore the beauty of Belize this weekend? Caribbean Sprinter is the fastest water transport for your perfect island hopping experience. Spend less time waiting and more time enjoying. Book your tickets now online at sprinter.bz.
Let's all be safe during the rainy season. Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
The behavior of Ministers Andrew Perez and Rodwell Ferguson has disgraced the government and the nation of Belize. Embassies and international friends of Belize are in shock. The integrity of the Briceño administration is in tatters. Prime Minister, how do you intend to address these serious breaches of the Ministerial Code of Conduct in the Belize Constitution? Or is it that, privately, you have no problem with such behavior? Remember when you intervened to shortcut the system for the lady named Diani Chan to bring in flowers and bypass Baha?
I'm asking you as Prime Minister to please allow them to come in, and then we can deal with the facts afterwards.
You disciplined the public officer who insisted on following the rules.
I will be speaking with the Minister, so I'm not shying away from that, so no follow-up question.
Prime Minister, it was you who set the example. It was you who started this business of using ministerial power to assist favored people. A fish rots from the head down.
Your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the shark code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste, no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
Belize is a small society. We have limited talent.
It seems that the ministers in Prime Minister Briceño's cabinet are indeed talented, but not in the way one would hope for good governance. Rather than striving for integrity and accountability, they show a talent for loose morals and abuse of office. From inappropriate messages to exploiting their offices for lewd, personal gains, these ministers display a talent for compromising public trust. The morally corrupt Briceño cabinet is betraying the people's trust. The people wanted a cabinet of decent ministers. Instead, what they got was a cabinet of whatless ministers.
A small protest was staged by the United Democratic Party earlier today in San Pedro to coincide with the start of the 2023 Belize Investment Summit. On Wednesday, the opposition party indicated that it would be taking to the streets of the island town, despite not being granted a permit by the Belize Police Department to demonstrate in front of the venue. But the protests did not go as planned. The executive of the party's Belize Rural South constituency disassociated itself from the activity, essentially proving that the party still appears to be fractured. News 5's Isani Cayetano reports.
This morning in San Pedro, police erected a checkpoint and stood on the ready as a few members of the United Democratic Party picketed various locations on the island town, including the residence of Belize Rural South Area Representative Andre Perez. The planned demonstration was held without a permit. The crowd, nonetheless, left a lot to be desired.
All we're asking is for the disgraceful Andre Perez to resign. That's all we're asking. And we are saying, that if the Prime Minister cannot get Perez to resign, then the Prime Minister must leave. We are saying, we are calling on John Briceño, sir, you have to get rid of them. All we are saying, if the Prime Minister cannot do what is right for Andre Perez, if the Prime Minister is unable to lead, then he must leave, because there are other people who can better lead this country. Right. We are saying yes to the investors, all of those people visiting, and we want this message to get to them loud and clear. This demonstration is not about the investors on San Pedro. This demonstration is about the disgraceful Andre Perez.
The embattled Minister of the Blue Economy is noticeably absent from the Belize Investment Summit. Despite the event taking place in his hometown, the well-known politician has taken a leave of absence.
What we are saying is that we do not want Andre Perez to no longer sit in the National Assembly or the House of Representatives of this country, because he is a disgrace to the people of San Pedro and disgrace to the entire nation. We were saying that Manuel Heredia served for 23 years in Parliament. I will not hear a scandal about Manuel Heredia. This man has only served 23 months, and it's done in a scandal.
The United Democratic Party, notwithstanding a call for action, was unable to muster the support of its faithful. On the island, stalwarts of the party were not present. Instead, the Belize Rural South Executive Committee issued a public statement drawing distance between itself and the actions of the party. One protester traveled from Belize City to San Pedro to voice his discontent.
The protests about get POP out of the way. Then they go stranded. They go worthless, like a worthless deportee. Me can't live so. My people, I can't make my family and my picnic live so. Rough. Everything to go up, bro. Pay not to go up. Everything gone up, and my hand can't up because they work hard.
UDP Chairman Mike Perefit was back on the island today. For him, the protest was about being able to voice a strong objection against the manner in which the Briceño administration is running the country.
Nobody's better than anybody. If something was happening, if somebody was doing something in Cayo and people from San Pedro wanted to protest or picket there, that would be fine too. There's nothing wrong with this. No. We are the constituents of the country. When Johnny Briceño raised the price of fuel, it only affect everybody in San Pedro. They affect the whole country. When the commissioner of police issued 10 gun license to one man that's 10 guns, it only affects San Pedro.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
We asked Prime Minister John Briceño for his thoughts on the UDP's picketing procession when we caught up with him at the summit. He focused on the fact that the UDP's Belize Rural South executive has disassociated itself from the group's action. Here is how PM Briceño responded to the request for a comment.
It's unfortunate you bring up something like this, that's something as ridiculous. And I say ridiculous because the UDP Belize Rural South has taken out a release condemning this kind of action. They're saying that they do not support this kind of action, that they welcome this investment summit in Belize, in San Pedro. It is only the misguided ideas of the leader of the opposition trying to make himself relevant have to import protesters from Belize to come and try to create an issue. And by you covering it, then you are serving his his interest by covering that, oh, there's a protest. I think I'm told there are less than 90 persons that has come. It is important to point out that the UDP executive from Belize Rural South has condemned the actions of their leader.
But as we said, the purpose of today's protest was to send a message to the government of Belize about Andre Perez, the Minister of Blue Economy. Today, Prime Minister John Briceño broke his silence on the issue. He told reporters that he believes everyone needs to be more careful about how they share personal messages and pictures on social media. He also argued that no one is without sin.
I think that is something that everybody needs to take a look at, not only elected officials, but even citizens. With the change in social media, where it makes the exchanges of these of personal messages and personal pictures that can be made available at any moment. I think everybody needs to be careful. I don't think that the UDP has any moral standing to be able to call out anybody, because they need to start by looking at the mirror. And then after you have cleaned your house and fixed your house, then you have every right to be able to criticize. But it is something that our society as a whole needs to take a look at, and to realize that these telephones, whilst they are a good tool for good, it can be used also for bad.
Sir, but at what point does actions become unbecoming of a cabinet member or parliamentarian in the context of these images and these types of conversations we're talking about here?
I think we need to be careful how we handle this, all of us, and you also, the media included, because many of you are not without sin. So it is we need to be careful whilst we set these standards and being the morality police. But yes, I believe. But it doesn't matter. You provide a common good to the country by providing the news. So you also have certain ethical standards that are expected from you.
Prime Minister Briceño also contended that what is done in private setting should remain private, unless, of course, it is an illegal act. He further revealed that Minister Perez is not being paid during his leave of absence.
We need to now really start to talk about setting up some standards. That has not been done. And especially when it comes to the use and misuse of social media, that we all have a responsibility, and also to give an example to the rest of the country. But at the same time, I see this very carefully, because we are also human beings, we have a private life. And that if you are doing something with somebody privately, it should remain private, and it should not become public unless you're doing something illegal. And so that, I think I want to leave it as that.
And if the leave of absence unpaid?
Yes, it is.
Will Mr. Ferguson also be investigated in this light?
Well, I don't know yet, because I have not seen it, and I have not spoken to him as yet. So after the investment summit, I will sit down and start to take a look at and see what is there. I mean, so should we also condemn the leader of the opposition for his behavior? I mean, so you need to draw a line somewhere.
After the break, chocolate from Belize for Belize. We'll tell you about that, but first, here's the weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
Get out and explore this weekend with Caribbean Sprinter. With our ferries, you'll get to San Pedro, Belize City, and Key Cocker faster and smarter. Visit Caribbean Sprinter online at sprinter.bz.
Belize is a small society. We have limited talent.
It seems that the ministers in Prime Minister Briceño's cabinet are indeed talented, but not in the way one would hope for good governance. Rather than striving for integrity and accountability, they show a talent for loose morals and abuse of office. From inappropriate messages to exploiting their offices for lewd, personal gains, these ministers display a talent for compromising public trust. The morally corrupt Briceño cabinet is betraying the people's trust. The people wanted a cabinet of decent ministers. Instead, what they got was a cabinet of whatless ministers.
The Belize Carnival Association presents the annual King and Queen competition. Come out and cheer for your favorite carnival band as they display their elaborate and decorative giant costumes for the 2023 carnival season. Mark the date, September 2nd, 2023 at the Belize Civic Center. Prejudging at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. for showtime. Come out and see who will take the title of King and Queen, Junior and Senior.
How does investment services work? For example, Joe's Construction wants to expand its operations by purchasing new equipment and hiring additional staff. How can Joe's Construction get an investment loan? The answer: Investment Services appraises the loan application and focuses on 2 key areas: adequate collateral and repayability. Investment Services will also consider how Belizeans and the economy will benefit from this new investment through job creation and business growth. The terms and conditions for Joe's Construction loan will be based on the purpose and cash flow. After recommendation and approval, the loan is disbursed. SSB remains committed to proper management of the fund through prudent and responsible investments for the benefit of its beneficiaries, employers, and the Belizean economy. Social Security Board, an investment for you, your family, your future.
The behavior of Ministers Andrew Perez and Rodwell Ferguson has disgraced the government and the nation of Belize. Embassies and international friends of Belize are in shock. The integrity of the Briceño administration is in tatters. Prime Minister, how do you intend to address these serious breaches of the Ministerial Code of Conduct in the Belize Constitution? Or is it that, Privately, you have no problem with such behavior. Remember when you intervened to shortcut the system for the lady named Diani Chan to bring in flowers and bypass Baha?
I'm asking you as Prime Minister to please allow them to come in, and then we can deal with the facts afterwards.
You disciplined the public officer who insisted on following the rules.
I will be speaking with the Minister, so I'm not shying away from that, so no follow-up question.
Prime Minister, it was you who set the example. It was you who started this business of using ministerial power to assist favored people. A fish rots from the head down.
On Tuesday, the president of the Belize National Teachers Union, Ruth Showman, questioned what she referred to as a rush to implement the competency-based curriculum by the Ministry of Education. Showman reasoned that some teachers have not yet been consulted on the new curriculum and pointed to the lack of basic resources at some schools, such as adequate transportation and potable water. Well, the ministry fired off a press release on Wednesday and clarified two statements that Showman made on the implementation of the competency-based education curriculum and the matter of continuing professional development credits to teachers. The release states in part, quote, "The entire effort to transition to CBE has been done in close partnership with the BNTU managements and local and international partners. As has been very well covered in the media, our national curriculum framework was developed by a committee comprised of a cross-section of stakeholders and education experts, including the BNTU, and we have been engaged in extensive countrywide consultations with teachers, principals, and other stakeholders that have led to a spirit of partnership and joint ownership of the process," end quote. We caught up with Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Louis Zabanet, at the Investment Summit in San Pedro, and he said there's no rush to introduce the new curriculum.
There's absolutely no rush. From day one, we made it clear to the teachers, principals, that we are operating on a basis of flexibility. Very important, because we understand that, to make such a transition will require many changes. First, a whole mindset change will need to occur. So that's why the last year was called a transition year. It's a transition in terms of our thinking and understanding of what education really means. As we're talking about improving quality, but at the same time we're talking about ensuring that we have equity in our education system, that we're providing relevant education for what we see not tomorrow, but in the next 10, 20, 30 years. So we need to be flexible. It would be impractical for us to think that such a dramatic change could occur in just 1 year. So what we've done with high schools, for example, we've asked them to give us a 3-year plan. So the plan would be now from this new school year starting, 3 academic years into the future. What it is that you believe you need to do first, second, third, prioritizing it, where are the areas you need more support. So for example, is it the issue with how do you assess for competencies, or is it the issue of learning the methodologies like project-based or problem-based learning? Whatever the issue is, you prioritize it over 3 years, which is certainly not rushing anything, and then we work together. In case of primary schools, we work based on demand so that our district education centers team up with support teams of best practice teachers that we now have in place for both primary and secondary. And so a school, Holy Angels, let's say in the Stan Creek Valley, where I went to school, would say ministry in the DC in Dangriga, we need some assistance with X, Y, or Z. They come in the DC along with the relevant persons from the support team, and we find out what is going on at Holy Angels per se. We assess that properly, and then we work with them. So its flexibility is key.
The murder of Belize City businessman Ricardo Borja continues to be investigated by police. As we recently reported, a real estate agent from southern Belize, Frick the Mayor, was detained by police for questioning in connection with Borja's murder. Borja called the names of various individuals in a recorded testimony that revealed details of an elaborate land scam allegedly involving several employees at the Lands Department. This recorded statement was given only days before Borja was shot and killed. Today, Prime Minister Briceño was asked if he is aware of the accusations being brought against employees in the Lands Department and if his government intends to regulate the real estate industry. PM Briceño says he does not know much about the case, but he did put those employees at the Lands Department on notice.
I'm disappointed that we have not addressed that, and I see this because when I was the Minister of Natural Resources, we were working on legislation for the real estate industry. You could ask Hugo, and he can confirm. I had several meetings with them, and just at the point when we were about to introduce the legislation, then I resigned as the Minister of Environment, and unfortunately nobody followed it up. And I also have to take some kind of responsibility to be that I have not sat down with the Minister of Natural Resources, with Minister Hyde, to tell him, this is one of the areas that has to be addressed. But now that has surfaced, it is the best opportunity or time to say, hey, we need to address this and we need to address it now. So I hope that I'll meet with the Minister to talk about this and also to address it in Cabinet to give the urgency of passing that legislation.
Have you looked then at this whole investigation regarding Ricardo Borja and what has surfaced in testimonies he supposedly gave before his death, that a real estate company down south was involved, at least one agent in untoward activity, and he named 4 people within the Ministry of Natural Resources as facilitating this land scam. Is there an investigation ongoing in relation to that?
Well, certainly I have not spoken with the Commissioner of Police. I was unable to speak to him yet, and then also been working on this investment summit. But I will certainly sit down with him. I will sit down with the Minister of Natural Resources and the Deputy Prime Minister. And we need to take action. We need to, if there is any allegations made against any individual in government, we need to be able to act so that the public can see that we are not going to tolerate this kind of behavior, and also that the public officers understand that if they are not following the law, that they also have to be held responsible.
Prime Minister John Briceño was also asked if the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, will be investigated after it was revealed that Ricardo Borja possessed 10 gun licenses. PM Briceño said he has to first look into the report. He did, however, take a hard stance against the possession of firearms in Belize.
First time hearing this, so certainly something that we have to take a look into.
Have you ever asked the compound to facilitate someone else with a gun license?
No. By the way, to make it, I do not support guns in this country. I do not own a gun. And if it was left to me and I got into trouble with some members from cabinet, I would ban all guns in this country.
That's a strong.
But that's how I feel. But members in cabinet that feel differently. But I would ban the guns in Belize. Look at what has happened over the years. This fallacy that by giving people guns to be able to protect themselves is not working, because what do? The criminals, they hold you up, they thief your gun, and then they use it to create crime. So I would ban it if it was left up to me.
Last night, we told you about the attempt made in the lower courts by former PUP standard bearer Dorla Vaughan and Gary Ayuso to challenge Shine Barrow's legitimacy as a voter in Mesopotamia. As we reported, that challenge was unsuccessful. Today, Prime Minister Briceño told reporters that he had nothing to do with the challenge. He said, however, that through the challenge, a message was sent to the entire country about the opposition leader.
I don't know. I had nothing to do with it. So, and I just read the news. But I think, again, if you want to hold standards, then let's start with us, the leaders. I think it's disgraceful for the leader of the opposition to find a safe house in the Mesopotamia area to register himself. When we know that he lives in the Caribbean shores area, all of you know that. He has a flag in his house in where he lives. And I just can't understand that he'd open himself to such criticism. And sometimes the point is, I remember a person that loves to go to court, and I would not mention names. He said, you know, he said, Prime Minister, many times you go to court is not to win, but to make a point. And so, more importantly, we wanted to make the point for the entire country to understand the moral standards of the leader of the opposition, that he will find a safe house to register himself in the Mesopotamia area, and that register where he lives. And that's, more than anything else, the most important point that we wanted to make.
Up next, there's much more news after the break, so don't go away.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
We value your loyalty. Join our Sprinter Rewards program by contacting us today on the web at sprinter.bz and start earning points towards award travel. Sailing 5 or more segments a month gets you bonus points. So what are you waiting for?
The behavior of Ministers Andre Perez and Rodwell Ferguson has disgraced the government and the nation of Belize. Embassies and international friends of Belize are in shock. The integrity of the Brasenia administration is in tatters. Prime Minister, how do you intend to address these serious breaches of the Ministerial Code of Conduct in the Belize Constitution? Or is it that, privately, you have no problem with such behavior? Remember when you intervened to shortcut the system for the lady named Diani Chan to bring in flowers and bypass Baha?
I'm asking you as Prime Minister to please allow them to come in, and then we can deal with the facts afterwards.
You disciplined the public officer who insisted on following the rules.
I will be speaking with the Minister, so I'm not shying away from that, so no follow-up question.
Prime Minister, it was you who set the example. It was you who started this business of using ministerial power to assist favored people. A fish rots from the head down.
Babe, have you seen the advisory that Nima just posted? There's going to be a storm.
Storm? It's not a storm. That's just a little rain. We'll be all right.
Thank goodness that was only a simulation. But what if it wasn't? Consider this. You've worked hard building your future, your family, your business, your home. RF&G Insurance has policy options that can protect your most valued assets so that you can focus on what matters most. Include RF&G Insurance in your hurricane prep. Remember, it pays to get it right with RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Francis Rennell Concert Series is back and presents the Electric 80s. Join us at the Bliss Center for 2 nights of colorful performances, starting on Friday, September 1st at 8 p.m. and also Saturday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. Come out as vibrant voices whisk you away, back in time with celebrated 80s hits. Tickets are available at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts and are $25 for general admission, $40 reserved, and $50 premium. For more information on how to get your tickets, contact 600-7453. Join us for the fun. Join us for the flair. Join us on September 1st and 2nd for an electric event of 80s musical magic. Sponsored by BTV, NCC, Travelers Liquors, Puma, Full Tech Systems, and the Angelus Press Limited. Partners with BEL, Smart, Niche, and PUC.
The Belize Chocolate Company is among the leading chocolate manufacturers in the country. The industry is made up of only a handful of local producers. Chris and Joe Beaumont moved to Belize 2 decades ago and started a sailing company. 10 years after their relocation, the couple traveled down to Punta Gorda for the first Cacao Fest. There, they discovered the potential in Belize's cacao industry. What began as an experiment has led to a fully blown chocolate factory using products exclusively from Belize. News 5's Paul Lopez has the story in tonight's Belize on Reel.
Chris and Joe Beaumont established the Belize Chocolate Company more than 15 years ago on Ambergris Key. Today, they sell some 200 products inside the Belize Chocolate Shop on Barrier Reef Drive in San Pedro town.
When we first came to Belize, which was 25 years ago, we were windsurfing and sailing instructors. We set up a very small business outside the Holiday Hotel where we were renting out windsurfing equipment and teaching local tourists. We did that for about 5 years, and then in 2007 we went down to Punta Gorda to the first cacao festival, bought a bag of beans and started experimenting.
In 2012, Joe and Chris decided that it was time for them to open a shop. They now employ 20 residents at the store, as well as their newly built factory. Chris gave us a tour of the facility. He showed us how their products are made.
We buy beans from southern Belize, from small family farms and some other cooperatives there. We bring them here onto the island, 1,000, 1,500 pounds at a time. The first part of the process we do here on the island is to roast those beans. We have a commercial coffee roaster, a drum roaster. We roast about 40 pounds at a time in that machine. It takes about 18 to 20 minutes. Once we've done the roasting, then we do a process called winnowing. The winnowing process separates the shell from the nib of the bean. The shell, as you saw, we use for tea and stuff like that, which is great. The nib is the part we use to make our chocolate. The nib goes either to make chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or it goes to make 100% liqueur, so then we can separate it into cocoa powder and cocoa butter. We have a cocoa butter press from the Hershey's days. It's actually from an Italian press from the 1970s. So it's a great machine, and it squeezes out the cocoa butter and leaves us with these big round press cakes as well. The chocolate goes from there, and once we've ground the chocolate in some of these big, what we call wet grinders, it's a steel drummer you saw them with the stone rollers inside, and that grinds in there for 24 hours, 48 hours to make either our milk white or dark chocolate. From there, goes into the middle part of our factory where we have the baking, the dipping, the products are made, all that sort of stuff. And then we go to the cool room. Cool room is where it's nice and cold to get that chocolate to set up nice and well. It's where we make our bars as well. And from there it goes into the packing room.
Inside the packing room, each product is packaged and labeled manually. They are then ready to be sold to wholesale and retail customers, as well as inside the store. we got a first-hand look at one of the company's unique products that combines chocolate and art. It is called the Art Bar, and it is yet to hit the market.
The Art Bar, we haven't quite launched it yet, but it's a new packaging. It's the same cacao bar, but we wanted to shake it up a bit. So we approached 4 Belizean artists, and we have used their artwork and made it into a new package. And a percentage of every bar sold is going to go back into primary schools and high schools, local high schools and primary schools for art supplies and school supplies.
Ambergris Caye is a prime tourist destination in Belize. The Belize Chocolate Company has created a delectable experience for visitors and locals alike. Joe and Chris Beaumont have also created a space at their shop for chocolate making classes.
The class, which we do twice or 3 times a week, really takes people through that whole process that you went through today. We have an initial video about the Maya people and their history. We talk a little bit about how it came from this pod grown in, this fruit grown in the jungles of Central and South America to a chocolate bar. And then we talk and smell and taste our way through the whole process. The most fulfilling thing really is being able to produce something Belizean that we know is a fantastic, and people come in and even Belizeans, we don't realize we have this thing that is so fantastic, and it's something that's amazing that has always been grown here, and the sugar's here and the beans here. So it's just brilliant that we can do something so fantastic, and from here for here.
My vision is that we would like to export a little bit more. When we first started, my vision was that we would be an award-winning company, which we are. I think really the vision now is to employ more people, to make the process more smoother, and to export more. Yeah, so that
really getting the name of Belize as a chocolate industry out a little bit more than it has been. And we've always grown these fantastic beans, but the world doesn't really know that much about Belize and chocolate, for sure.
But also it would be nice to put Belize as a chocolate maker on the map, because the beans get exported a lot, and so there are a lot of American chocolate companies and British chocolate companies, and you're using Belize beans, but it's not being made here. So the fact that we are making really good Belizean chocolate here is really important.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
Up next, police looking at another person of interest in Borja's murder.
Every year, World Environment Day is celebrated on June 5, and the Department of the Environment, within the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, joins the nation of Belize and other United Nations member countries in worldwide awareness and action to protect our environment, with this year's theme being to beat plastic pollution. We have seen the effects of climate change, now exacerbated by the effects of plastic pollution, primarily from single-use plastics. The Ministry, through the auspices of the Department of the Environment, has enacted the pollution from plastics regulation in 2020, noting that single-use plastics is of high environmental concern. This regulation sought to curb the environmental impacts associated with single-use plastics and to better promote green alternatives, which resulted in the development of national standards for biodegradable products.
The government of Belize, through the Department of Environment, has been controlling and enforcing these regulations to ensure that we protect Belize from the threats of plastic pollution. In so doing, nationwide market surveillance and product sampling has been conducted, resulting in enforcement actions which includes sale prohibition and confiscation of single-use plastics and styrofoam. The detrimental environmental impacts of single-use plastics are everyone's concern. The government calls upon all businesses, industries, civil societies, NGOs, and you, the citizens of Belize, to have civic pride and to help in the fight against plastic pollution and to further contribute to the national efforts in transitioning to a circular economy. Together, we can beat plastic pollution. Happy World Environment Day.
Belize is a small society. We have limited talent.
It seems that the ministers in Prime Minister Briceño's cabinet are indeed talented, but not in the way one would hope for good governance. Rather than striving for integrity and accountability, they show a talent for loose morals and abuse of office. From inappropriate messages to exploiting their offices for lewd, personal gains, these ministers display a talent for compromising public trust. The morally corrupt Briceño cabinet is betraying the people's trust. The people wanted a cabinet of decent ministers. Instead, what they got was a cabinet of whatless ministers.
Everything is better electric. Be more efficient with electric vehicles and transforming your home with Energy Star electric appliances and power tools. This helps to create a greener and cleaner world for the next generation. Energize your world with BL.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the shark code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
Brothers Tyrone and Ellis Main appeared in court today, where they both chose to give unsworn statements from the dock arguing the charge of being members of a gang. According to Tyrone Ellis, he was charged for being a member of a gang in February 2020, and the evidence brought against him in court was fabricated. Tyrone says he has since relocated to Placencia, where he is a construction worker and tour guide. His sibling, Ellis Main, also testified that the allegations brought against them are simply to tarnish their reputation. They say that they were raised in a strict household that taught them to have a close relationship with God. Today's trial ended with submissions being put forward by the Crown, represented by Assistant Superintendent of Police Derwin Sambula. Tyrone and Ellis Main remain on remand at the Belize Central Prison after they were charged criminally with another offense, whilst out on bail granted to them by the High Court. As we reported on Tuesday, 27-year-old Jaleel Gujar was shot shortly after 9 that morning as he sat on a step at a house on Vernon Street at its junction with Pine Street. He has since undergone surgery for the bullet wound. Gujar is known to police. In 2017, he was shot in the leg. That same year, he was arrested and charged with stealing an SUV from Newtown Barracks. When we spoke with Commissioner of Police Chester Williams on Wednesday, he said police were still investigating the motive for the shooting.
Police received information of shots fired
in the area of Vernon Street. Upon arrival, they were told that one young man was shot, I think to the back. He was taken to the hospital where he is admitted in a stable condition. From what I gather is that he was on a veranda speaking to someone when a lone gunman came and fired one single shot in his direction.
Motive for the shooting?
At this time, we don't know.
Could it be gang related?
We don't know at this time, no.
Earlier this week, police detained Belgian national Frick de Meer for questioning in connection with the August 19th murder of businessman Ricardo Borja on Coney Drive. The mayor is said to have been the business partner of Ricardo Borja, who recorded 2 audio testimonies with details of real estate scams that were allegedly being carried out in that field. On Wednesday, the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, answered a few questions from us on that investigation and said they were also looking at another person of interest.
Is Frick de Meer cooperating with investigators?
I'm not going to comment about that. I know he's been interviewed.
Any other suspects have been interviewed so far?
No, but we do have other persons we're looking at.
Have you listened to the latest recording that was released, I think, today?
No, I have not heard that one, no. I've heard the one that was on YouTube before.
Okay. And then, is there any progress when it comes to Mr. Borja's murder?
Other than the fact that we're interviewing one person and looking for others to be interviewed, no.
Have you spoken to the real estate company where the mayor used to work at?
That has been done by investigators.
On Sunday, the body of 18-year-old Randy Gorosica was discovered in southern waters where he went fishing with a group of men from the Corzal district. He messaged his mother, Rosie Gorosica, to inform her that he'd return in a couple of days. But the fishing expedition went wrong. The group went on its own to fish, but when they finished and returned to their boat, Gorosica was missing. They found his dory drifting and he was not in it. Police have found his body, but they are not certain if he was murdered, like his family believes. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams told News 5 that the investigation continues.
At this time, we cannot say if he was murdered. So we will yield to whenever the postmortem is conducted and see what the doctors are going to say.
And the persons who are with him, the last seen with him, are they cooperating investigators?
I think that they had given statement to the police, yes. If there's a need to interview them, the police is going to do so.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available at channel5belize.com, on our Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.